Hello, everyone. Sarah Picaro here. Today, we're going to be talking about childhood trauma and how that affects, and influences us as adults, especially when it comes to the way that our mind works. Because I don't know about you, but in this process, in this journey of discovery, we go on this journey of watching lots of videos to try and figure ourselves out and try and figure out how to break out of this internal cage, of this imaginative box that we're in, even though it doesn't feel like we're imagining it, because the constriction of it feels so real. It feels so present. It feels like we're trapped and we want out. There was a client that I recently worked with privately, and the beauty about the nature of this work around transformational healing is that we're using your unconscious mind, and your unconscious mind, especially when you've experienced early childhood trauma, abuse, neglect, is very creative, is very open to its imagination. It sees things, it experiences things, they present physically. On our first call together, she said, I'm literally freezing right now. Like, I know all about the freeze response. I was in this trauma program. It was like a 9-week trauma program. And I'm coming to you because it did more trauma. It brought all the trauma that I went there to heal from, like, up to the surface. And it literally makes my body feel cold. She said, even just talking to you about it right now, my body, I'm cold. Like, it's not cold in my house, but my body, it's freezing. I'm in the freeze response right now. I know that. And there were many times where she said, I'm just, hold on. What? See, I do that. I go places. And when you've experienced repeated past episodes or experiences of trauma, your mind is so powerful. It has a built-in protective mechanism. It will do that. Your mind has the power and the ability to take you emotionally, energetically, spiritually out of the physical situation. And for a lot of children, this is a further connection to pain, because they're told that they're not paying attention, or that they're not listening, or they daydream too much, or they're not here. And it's their mind's ability to remove them from an emotionally painful situation and put them in a position that feels more safe. And a lot of times, metaphorically, that is, in, for her, presented as a bird cage, as a cage, and had this bird's eye view on things, could see things, but felt safe and protected in the cage, and felt that these internal walls are being built up, and knows logically now, out of the abusive relationship with the narcissist, obviously out of the relationship with the parents who were the initial abusers. And I always say parents and partners. It really, the most significant relationships that we have are the ones that cause the most significant damage. And when that damage is done as a child, when you have a parent who's emotionally unavailable, just very, very controlling, emotionally abusive, it doesn't allow you the freedom to express your emotions in a healthy way, then we turn down the dial for the ability to express our emotions in a healthy way as an adult. And even when we begin this process of trying to heal from it, mostly through conscious effort and exercises or activities, I have another video on that and why that's so difficult and sometimes more damaging. We feel bad for even desiring to feel good, because our imagination takes us somewhere else. And in her case, her imagination took her to sitting on a fence, like sitting on top of fence, like a bird, like seeing this side and this side was a green field of grass, and this side was a green field of grass, and wanting to go where the grass was greener, but feeling stuck on the fence, like stuck in this, I can't make a decision, so I just don't make a decision. And this conscious awareness that I realized that like deciding not to decide or deciding to do nothing or deciding to procrastinate is the decision to do something, but it's not a something that I want to continue to do. And this is where I'm stuck. And so stuck in this duality and feeling like, well, I'm like this metaphorical bird stuck in a cage, or I'm trapped, or I feel like I'm inside of something. And it's not necessarily that I want to get rid of this thing that I feel like I'm inside of, because it has protected me, and it protected me a lot when my mind could take me there when I was a child. But I understand logically I'm not a child anymore. And so I don't need this. But the mind, because it works in algorithms and metaphors and almost visions, it has the ability to imagine and to daydream, to visualize. And this almost is expanded when you're a child and you go through experiences of early neglect, emotional suppression, emotional unavailability, or you were punished or told and therefore made to believe about yourself that you were too much, that you were too little, that it wasn't safe to do so. And so children who've gone through experiences of this and relationships that express this often feel suppressed in their expression. They feel suppressed in their expression and their ability to trust expression. And that can lead you down so many paths and so many rabbit holes. It can lead you down wondering what your purpose is, but you can feel it. You can feel it energetically. You can feel it in certain areas and specific locations of your body. For me personally, it's my gut. And for one of my most recent clients, it was the same area. It was this feeling of trusting the gut and knowing she could always trust her gut. And it was in that area where I can trust my angels, but my higher self is more in my head and leads me astray. But when I drop into my gut, I know I can trust it. But it was almost this higher versus lower. So it should make sense to logically trust my head because it's higher. And a lot of times there's experiences with authority, that authority is higher than me, above me. And here I go to get this view sitting on the fence so I can look out and I can see things with more clarity. I'm not restricted in my seeing by being on one side of the fence or the other. And so it serves me to be up higher, but it also doesn't serve me to be up higher because when I'm in my head, I get stuck there. But when I drop into my gut, I can trust there because that's where this inner guidance is. That's where this intuition is. And a lot of times it comes back full circle to trust. And what can I trust? And how can I know that I can trust that about myself to be guided down the right path? Because you can look back and see all the misguidings and all the things that you believed in that led to pain and led to emotional, more emotional manipulation and more emotional cognitive dissonance, like all of these things where it feels like I'm just, my emotions are ping ponging. And a lot of times this comes up in the expression during the session, and it's incredible. And generally, for most people, post session, even just one, there's an experience of complete freedom and peace, and the heaviness, the emotional heaviness of the burden having been lifted off of them. And it's a more of a visceral feeling, an emotional experience. And a lot of times you can feel sadness coming up and sadness behind the eyes, and there's an unconscious expression of all of this. And unless you're working with it unconsciously and internally, you're only getting to some of it. You're really only truly scratching the surface and removing the top layers. You're not getting to the core and to the root of it. So understand that if you were someone who's gone through a lot of past emotional neglect or unavailability or abuse, you probably are someone who feels and experiences things in kind of what seems like a crazy way. That's why it's called crazy making, and it leads you to crazy relationships because those external relationships match and mirror the one that you have with yourself internally until you break free from it, until you reconnect and trust your inner trust system. And that's this bringing together of the relationship that is ultimately healing when you can trust your inner trust system, because we all have it. It's a built-in system. And where a lot of us experience disconnect is we've unplugged from our internal trust system. And so it's the reconnection of that, the plugging back in to that, the hand in hand of that. My daughter asked me the other day, because I use that phrase, hand in hand. She said, "What's hand in hand?" And she's at a stage where she's learning a lot of things. And I said, hand in hand. And it's this beautiful weaving that feels safe, that feels supported, that feels like I'm with you, that feels like you're not alone. And so through this process, you begin to walk hand in hand with yourself, but the most important part of yourself, the part of yourself that says it's safe to trust. I got you. I'm here with you. We're in this together. You're not alone, because that's exactly what you needed when you needed it most. And when you didn't have that, your mind gave you a way out of it or a way to express that. And a lot of times with people, the number of people that I've worked with that have had imaginary friends when they were younger, an imaginary place to go, to retreat, to hide when they were scared. And a lot of times it comes out as an unconscious expression, like going like this, or clearing the throat a lot often comes up as there's something to say. And for so long, it didn't feel safe to say it. And now, in this exchange and our transformational healing sessions, there's a safe space to say what you've always wanted and needed to say, and get to the core and the root of what you believe about yourself, because you've had to suppress that part of yourself. So I absolutely love, love, love working with people privately. It's the fastest way to freedom, because it's through your internal personal unconscious beliefs that you developed about yourself when you went through those types of experiences that you went through in the past. So I would love for that for you. I've experienced it myself for years now. I've taken clients on this beautiful experience and journey, and it is one that you deserve to go on as well if you desire true emotional freedom from feeling like that invisible bondage that's around you, having been with past narcissists, emotional abusers, raised by parents who were just simply emotionally unavailable or deeply emotionally immature. And and you feel that you're still carrying that around, and you're ready to lay it down. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. That's it for today. Bye for now.